Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This is my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, February 20th. Friendly reminder, the markets are closed on Monday for President's Day. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will still be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, SMCI. If you have not heard of this one, then you probably live under a rock, as it has been an absolute beast mode. However, today a kink has shown up in the armor, and now it's just a question of, is this just a pullback or is this something much deeper? And the one thing to keep in mind, and just to show the overall, beast mode of the thing is, it all revolves around this purple line here, which is the 50-period moving average. And you can see that it has done a fantastic job of just cruising along that purple line, staying above it, staying above it. So it's pulled back plenty of times before, pull back there, pull back there. There's a pullback. You get the idea. There's another pullback. And, everything's recovered. It stayed above that purple line. Here is another pullback, but maybe you get where I'm headed with all this. The price is now down below that purple line. So is that the leading indicator that this pullback is going to get even deeper? And yeah, that's a valid thought to have, and that's a valid concern to have. Now, when I say concern, depending on where you bought. If you bought a long time ago, then yeah, the price could, still come down another $200 and you'd still be plenty in the green. But point here being is that's the big difference moving forward and the big difference from these other pullbacks is the price is now down below that purple line there. So I'll zoom in here. And really the next question becomes, if this is going to be a deeper pullback, then I don't see any reason why it wouldn't at least go down and test that pink line there, which is the very famous 200-period moving average. So I would definitely call that the next overarching level of support. If the price does try to bounce, then just a very basic rule right now is in effect. That rule which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. And this was the former area of support, which we just spent a whole lot of time talking about. So now with the price below it, if there is any sort of bounce back upwards, that'll be the first battleground that the bulls have to fight up above. So overall, the trend is still bullish. But yeah, today definitely brings quite a few questions going into next week. Next one here, SOUN. It talked about this in yesterday's video. And we had a pretty exciting situation because, and this will mean a little bit more to those that watched yesterday's video, but if you watched it, I talked about how we had this bull pennant pattern. And you can see now the price is actually up through the bull pennant. Now, the price has not exploded or anything like that, but it has at least taken that step of getting the break through that level, which does lead to the valid question now next week of, okay, is this a start? Is this a leading indicator of an even bigger move to come? Now, maybe the reason why it hasn't broken out bigger is because there's actually not any sort of true power, or maybe it just needs a little bit more rest before getting even further, confirmation. So that's the big question here is that level has been broken. The price is outside of the pattern, but is this break the start of something even bigger? Certainly an interesting situation to watch, especially if you like this price range down below $5. Next one, ticker NNOX, and overall, very nice move today. Got the break up through this former area of resistance right here. So let me get that mapped out just so you can see a little bit better idea of things. So right there, you can see that was a resistance headed into today, and right there you can see rejected the price, and then earlier on in the day right there rejected a couple times. Price did break above it, and then just a rule in technical analysis, when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support, and you can see this played out perfectly here as the price came down there, acted as support, and even acted as support right there. So the ideal level moving forward in terms of, hey, Clay, what make the chart look the healthiest would definitely be if the price can stay up above the 1265 mark, we'll call it. In terms of the big picture scenario, watch that purple line down there, which you now know is that 50-period moving average. Keyword being moving, so as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher and just serve as essentially an overall trend line that's drawing itself for you. In regards to levels of resistance, nothing fancy here. Literally just a question of, okay, well, where did the party stop today? And that was right up there at $14, and we'll call it 35 cents. So keep a close eye on that. But all in all, nice movement today. Nice, just general trend of things, and we'll see if the price can continue to build upon this next week. Next one, TELL, and this thing has been in a very, very impressive uptrend here. You can see things got nasty a little while ago. Very nasty move down here, but after that, huge amount of volume. So you can see the capitulation point. Sellers were done, buyers stepped back in, and then from there, has just been grinding higher and higher. So that's kind of the broader context of things. In terms of the near term and levels of support and resistance, again, as far as that ideal level, meaning, what make this chart look the absolute strongest going forward, that would be right here if the price could stay above the 85-cent mark. But as I just talked about from an overarching standpoint, just watch that purple line right there, 50-period moving average. So as time goes by into next week, that line is going to continue to move higher and higher. So as long as the price stays above the quote-unquote trend line, then the overall trend remains plenty bullish. In terms of levels of resistance, got to zoom back here a little bit. Always a good problem to have when you have to go back. There we go, this far into a chart's history. And the next key level of resistance is going to be right up there around the $5 mark. So $5, next key level, and that's where that is coming from. So basically, in some ways, essentially price is in a bit of a blue sky breakout right here. So we'll see how it continues to play out next week. Next one, AMC. And all in all, a just fine day. Got a little bit of a disappointing start with a gap down, but also to give credit where credit's due, the price bounced very nicely upwards and has now kind of it has consolidated essentially right back inside of that range where it already was previously. So just one of those things where not the most exciting day from an overall standpoint because the price didn't put in any new highs, but overall the levels of support held that you would want, including that $4.70 mark and then that purple line right there, 50-period moving average. So all things considered, healthy day. By no means an exciting day, but still healthy, and sometimes that's what it's all about. You don't need exciting days. You just need healthy days where the price is putting in higher highs and higher lows. And if you don't get that higher high, if it's at least putting in a higher low, that's by far what matters most. Real quick, wanted to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free webinar. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use to sign up. Or if you're watching right at my website, there's an area on the page there that you can use to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free webinar. Next one here, ticker symbol HTOO. And overall, eventful day and a little bit of perspective that goes into this from where I sit as a presenter, because it's hard to talk about. If you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you're buying up here and your goal is to buy and sell within 10 minutes, well then yes, from that standpoint, the chart is an absolute train wreck. But if you care about the bigger picture point of view, price has still got plenty of opportunity to build a higher base, or who knows, maybe you're not even in it yet and you're just looking for volatile stocks, which this one definitely accomplishes that. And the level that stands out to me is this trend line right here. Of course, there are no guarantees, but in my mind, is it plausible? Is it valid that if the price can still level out a bit more, then come up here and get up through that level, that break could in and of itself create additional buying pressure? I think that is a plausible conclusion. Again, no guarantees. That's why risk management matters. But to me, that level stands out quite a bit from a resistance standpoint. And other than that, it's essentially trying to catch a falling knife because there's not really any other data points that suggest support until you start to get down at that purple line right there. But the price still got to fall a bit more before that even comes into play. So in my mind, it's more of a kind of just watch that trend line. And if you want to use that as some sort of bit of confirmation, especially if it's a high volume break, that I think that's the best way to approach this sort of situation. Next one, TSLA, Tesla, and all things considered, good, healthy day, mainly due to the fact that the price didn't even come down and, test this area of support here. So was it exciting? No, but it was healthy, and we now have a bit of a pattern here that has formed. So let me get this area of resistance drawn, because you got to think a lot of people have drawn that area right there, and there's going to be a lot of people watching, especially on Tesla, very popular stock. And the more people are watching a certain area, the more real it becomes of potentially getting a self-fulfilling prophecy. And as far as a pattern is concerned, so we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the bigger move upwards here. So bull flag, bull pennant, whatever you want to call it. No need to get down in the weeds and argue over some semantics. But point here being is, what I'm trying to convey is big move up. Now it's just consolidating. So the question mark into next week is this going to be a healthy consolidation that creates even further upside pressure? We'll see what happens. Next one, MRNA, and overall, pull back a little bit more today. But what I like about this is just from a trend standpoint, is there's a very well-defined trend line now. I mean, look at that as I zoom back in. You can just see the price has gotten around that area there, multiple times. So by no means is this a great discovery. By no means am I trying to imply that that's a special talent that I have. A lot of people have drawn something very similar to that. And as I was saying, when a lot of people are watching the same levels, wondering the same thing, call it that self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some dynamic movement. So no guarantees, but is it valid that if the price comes up here and pushes up through there, that break in of itself could create good solid buying pressure in the upwards direction? Absolutely. I think that's a plausible scenario. If it does decide to pull back some more, then the next key level of support down there at that green line, 24.35. Next one here, GXAI, and same general idea of what I've been talking about, where you get these pretty, I would say, well-defined trend lines. And that's a very steep one, too, which just kind of goes to show how steep of a pullback it was. But nonetheless, got to think a lot of people are watching. Is that trend line, I mean, you look at these points here, and then just how it respected it right there and how it's knocking on the door right now, which brings about an exciting situation going into next week because we get to ask the fun question of, okay, can the price break through that level? Think about that question. If the price is never about to do anything exciting, then it doesn't make sense to throw out that question. But in this situation, it is potentially about to do something exciting, and that is break through that level. It doesn't mean it will, but that's what a watch list is all about, finding unique, finding interesting situations, and not rushing out and randomly buying stuff, but watching it. So if you find these sort of situations unique and exciting and worthwhile for you, especially if you like to trade penny stocks, then I would say definitely keep an eye on the trend line and see if it can get a break and then move back to the upside here. If it does continue to pull back, then like the other one we talked about, kind of a no man's land in terms of supports until you get down there to that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. Next one here, ticker symbol TQQQ. It's an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe the NASDAQ market as a whole is going to rise, this one will also rise, just allows you access at a lower price point, which makes it a very, very popular ETF. And going into next week, definitely all eyes are going to be on that pink line there. 200-period moving average, you can see right here, did a great job of acting as support. And then fast forward to earlier on today, good job of acting as support. And then fast forward into the final 30 minutes right here. And so far, so good. It is hanging on strong. That 200-period moving average, the buyers continue to step in there. But all this does lead to the very valid question, is this area going to hold? You're going to have some people saying, no, I don't think so. I think this thing's getting ready to break. So you're going to have shorts wanting to see downwards pressure. You're also going to have people saying, no, it's bounced 3 times before. I think it's going to bounce again. Both of those people have valid approaches, but somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong. That's why risk management matters. But the core denominator, or the common denominator there, is that it's all revolving there around that 200-period moving average. So definitely keep an eye on that. That is by far the most interesting dynamic. If the price does break down below it, then I could very realistically see it picking up momentum and then going back down there to right around 55, 65 in terms of that next area of support. If the price does try to bounce back upwards, then really nothing new here to report. Still all about that area that I talked about previously at the 59.40 mark. But yeah, all eyes on that 200-period moving average. Does it hold or does it not? Let me know in the comment section. Do you think it's going to hold or do you not think it's going to hold? I'm curious what your thoughts are. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I definitely want you to go get signed up for that free live webinar next week. It'll be Thursday, February 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do a couple things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you traded today. Tell me your watch list for next week, and tell me if you think that one's going to hold that 200-period moving average. And things like that really go a long way. Commenting, hitting that like button, and I really do thank you in advance. And again, as a friendly reminder, the markets are closed on Monday, so this will all take place on Tuesday. So thanks for watching. Take care. Have a great weekend.